Welcome back to Around the Premier League. Oh my God, I'm no one here. It's just me. Just joking. The Geordie, of course, is across in Newcastle. As soon as we get up the funding, we'll bring him out here so that he can sit in this desk. It'd be quality to have him here. So, Geordie, crazy weekend again in the Premier League. Once again proven, which I don't think we even need to prove this anymore. People will still argue about why it's the best league in the world because of just the fact that you can have a team who seem to be unstoppable in the Premier League. Of course, they suffered an upset against West Ham, but get demolished by Tottenham 4-1. You see Chelsea fighting against your team, Newcastle, to try and get a draw. There's just so many upsets. We see Manchester United go back to the top of the table, something that Man United fans have just been dreaming of since David Moyes took the keys to that nice car and drove it head first into a fucking wall. But it just makes up for a fantastic competition and something that we love to see. So, standard clip to start off with, best and worst. I want to start with you. What do you think was your best moment from the Premier League this weekend?
I mean, I didn't enjoy it personally, but I've got to give credit where it is due. Manchester United returned to the top of the league for the first time since Sir Alex Ferguson was in charge, I think. So credit where it's due. I mean, they beat Sunderland, so I am quite happy about that.
Yeah.
Very good performance all round. You stay in Martial, Memphis, and Rooney linking up well. Juan Mata playing in his preferred position. It all just clicked into place. And really, with other teams slipping up, if they don't make a challenge for it this season, they have to be kicking themselves, really, because it's wide open now. It's wide open.
I love how that was like the compliment for Man United to go there, but then also like with all the teams that are slipping up, if they don't win it, I mean, they're just disastrous. But I do agree with what you're saying. I do agree because this is something that Manchester United have done. They've strung a few games together. They just look a little bit more confident. But the way that their fixtures have been playing up, I mean, playing against Southampton, who are not a bad team, but then playing against Sunderland, it's in their favour. They should be picking up these victories, especially at home. But I'm going to piggyback on that. I agree with you. I think Manchester United going top is, for me, one of the best. And then I'm going to throw in my next best is that not just Tottenham, because a great result 4-1 against Man City, but I've seen this kind of evolving because I love what they're doing with their two holding midfielders. Dyer, especially, I think, has came into this role as a holding mid, and he has been phenomenal at doing this. And the reason why I'm choosing this is because despite my predictions in my tactics video being god-awful, I said Man City 2-1. The one thing I said Tottenham could do is attack from a deeper area. Now, what happens when Manchester City get pinned back a little bit is Yaya Toure, Fernandinho, Fernando, whoever plays in that holding role, they don't understand how to track oncoming midfielders from a deep position. Now, Dyer approaches the edge of the area late, and it was a great finish, exquisite finish, but that's something that with more teams do against Manchester City, they overwhelm them with numbers going forward. It's, of course, you want to worry about Man City attacking you, so you want to keep both holding midfielders back. But if you throw one of those guys forward with a late run, it's so hard to track. And just as I said, they should do that to try and penetrate and find gaps where Manchester City aren't comfortable defending. They've done it well and they executed, and I thought Dyer was phenomenal.
Yeah, mate, I think credit where it's due. A few Spurs players had good games. Good to see Harry Kane get back on the score sheet from an England fan's point of view. Lamela was made to look like Cristiano Ronaldo. I mean, you see the goalkeeper and Di Michelis falling all over each other. They were looking like they were trying to build sandcastles as he was swimming around them, putting it in the back of the net. So I was really impressed with the performance, but I do think it was helped in large part by how bad Manchester City were in that second half, and all the excuses have come out since then. And I have to really put them in my worst of the Premier League this weekend because so many excuses. All right, the offside. Well, your goal was offside. They had a couple of goals offside. Still would have been 2-0 at least. They bossed that second half easily. And to hear people complaining about, we don't have Vincent Kompany. Oh, it must be hard. £60 million worth of Mangala and Otamendi. It must be difficult. We didn't have David Silva. You only spent over 100 million on De Bruyne, Sterling when you already had Nasri, Navas, David Silva, Yaya Toure. It's a joke. It's a joke. They should, fair enough, right? Everyone has slip-ups. West Ham was a slip-up. But back-to-back defeats and getting annihilated against Spurs who they normally beat. Pellegrini, if he blows it this season, and I know I'm putting pressure on Man United to win the league, but let's be real here. Pellegrini has to win the league. He has spent an astronomical amount on already the best team in the league. So he should be walking the league this season.
Absolutely. I think that the pressure is definitely on him. With that amount of money you're spending, it's an issue because what happens with Manchester City is we've got all this talent, but when one slight piece of the puzzle that's working falls out of place, they seem to crumble. They had it happen several times last year. And if you were to tell me after halfway through last season, if Man City fans were like, oh, we just need Vincent Kompany, Vincent Kompany was fucking disastrous last season. Nonetheless, he's had a good start this season, and they've formed that partnership, but they should be well equipped to handle someone like Kompany going out with Otamendi, who was brought in. But this is something that I talked about. Mangala can be found out when he's not fully comfortable. He was found out against Juventus with basically an easy ball into the back post, in which Morata cut in far too easily and was able to put it into the back of the net. Same with Mandzukic as well with that. So I think that Mangala, he's had a better start of the season, but I think when gaps when he's got more space between him and his fellow centre-back, he's lost. He's not got the confidence to win one-on-one tackles. He's not got the confidence to cover. And I think that Manchester City definitely put themselves at risk by not having enough depth. Or even if they do have enough depth, they don't sign the right players to fill in those voids. So,
well, yeah, they have got enough depth. They're spending astronomical amounts. They're the deepest squad in the Premier League. It's just... It's not effective. And one of the main reasons, in my opinion, is Pellegrini defence management. We've seen for the past 3 years, all right, they won the league, but that was because Liverpool bottled it and Chelsea handed it to them on a silver platter. He only won the league by accident, practically. It was just, oh, Jesus, I've won the league, have I? I mean, really, they were never front runners. He's never been a good front runner, Pellegrini. Last season, Chelsea were the front runners the whole league, and now he's got to be the front runner. And they've bottled it so quickly. They've handed it to Man United. And I think one player who I think is really going to be pivotal this season, if he has a good season, they'll win it, and if he doesn't, it might not happen, is Yaya Toure.
Yeah.
Because when he's up for it and he chases the ball down, he makes everything happen. But when he doesn't, I mean, that first half, he set the goal up, he was great. Second half, he was anonymous, and it showed.
And Yaya Toure encompassed what I was saying, which more kind of defensive-minded holding midfielders can do, is because when he's got that late run like he did in the first game of the season and pinged that ball into the top corner, it's so hard to track because teams don't expect that. And I think Dyer was just more fearless than Yaya Toure in that game. He didn't fear playing against someone of Yaya Toure's stature, and that's why I think that he did a great job. So moving on to our second worst and our last point about this, are we going to have to go and talk about Newcastle? Are we going to say that, are you disappointed that Newcastle threw away a 2-0 lead? Or are you more happy that they managed to get a draw against last season's champions? Or again, is this a worse for Chelsea, the fact that they allowed a team like Newcastle, who you're a loyal fan, but you came out and just said there to me before, they're a piss poor team at the moment, and to Chelsea to go 2-0 down to them, is that a worse for Chelsea?
It's embarrassing for Chelsea. For me, I was laughing when the second goal went in. I was celebrating, but I was like, Jesus, you really are shite, Chelsea, this season. Because the first half, we absolutely dominated. This is a team that have just lost to Sheffield Wednesday reserves in the Cup. And we didn't make many changes for this game, right? We then go and hammer the champions for one half of football. All right, they had lots of possession in the second half, but once again, they did nothing with it. Players like Oscar, Hazard, Pedro, not delivering at all. It was, and only when Ramirez came on and smashed it in the top corner did they actually have a prey of getting anything from that game. And then, a fluke cross gets past the keeper, it's 2-2. But really, they were diabolical.
Yeah, when you bring on someone like Ramirez, who is by no means like world-class quality with all the skill in the world, but he showed what Chelsea have lacked. Heart and consistency around the field. He tracked his runners. He did his job. Far too many Chelsea players are skating on what they've done last season. Hazard to be one of them. And I feel like an idiot because I put so much praise on Hazard last season. We had a clip on the Football Republic where I was saying Hazard could be the Ballon d'Or winner in the next couple of years. Well, the way he's playing this season, he's not even going to fucking win the backup trophy, the golden fucking boot, the wooden spoon for the guy who's tried hardest, because he just doesn't even seem to be putting in the effort at the moment. And I think that you hit the nail on the head as well there with Chelsea. It's just like they just don't seem to be stepping up to adversity. Going 2-0 down against Newcastle is not a possibility.
There's not enough players shouldering the responsibility. They're shrinking. You've got Cesc Fabregas, anonymous. Diego Costa couldn't hit a Ballon d'Or pretty much for a lot of this season. The only way he's influencing games is by hitting people, basically. Yeah. And Eden Hazard people put a lot of praise on Eden Hazard, and when he's good, he's fucking unbelievable, let's be fair. But, you see the World Cup. Didn't do fuck all. You see he has tournaments and a run of games every now and then where he's just so anonymous. And I think to myself, you're ever going to be on that level, all right, I don't think we're ever going to see a Messi or Ronaldo for a long, long time. But if you're even going to reach Neymar, you've got a lot of work to do because he's miles away from him right now.
Yeah, I absolutely agree, mate. And we want to know what the commentators think. Commenters, leave it in the section below. I appreciated all your tweets this week to tell us what you wanted us to talk about. Hopefully we hit your talking points there, talking about Chelsea, Manchester City. Basically, the big upsets this weekend. It was another fantastic weekend in the Barclays Premier League. So we want to know again, Leave it in the section below. Check out the Geordie's YouTube and his gaming channel and come back for a more around the Premier League.